Dances with Cat asked that question.
It's the Goodwood Festival of Speed.
Okay.
You find it, Jake?
Hey everybody, what's up? I'm Jeff Gluck from SBNation.com, and we're here back on AmpUpThe88.com. This is where you guys come up to amp up for the race every week. We're glad to have you back again. Just a reminder, there's a few things that's really cool about AmpUpThe88.com. One is the best thing I think every week that I keep saying it is that there's a daily sweep for a Dale Jr. autographed item. So it's a different item they can get every single day.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
For that one.
Yeah. Then there's an off the track video series where this week it's Chris Golder. He's a shock specialist, and he's talking about his job and all that goes with that. And then TJ Majors, the spotter, he's on Twitter, and his Twitter feed is on there on the site, so you can just go back there and follow along with him. And we have these chats every week. Next week we'll have Rick Hendrick, the man,
sweet,
sitting in the seat right there. May 19th at 12:30.
Make sure you call him Mr. Hendrick.
Is that, yeah, should I?
Yeah, it's appropriate.
It seems like everybody does, yeah. But right now, that's not Rick Hendrick, that's Landon Cassill. Finally, after you were mysteriously off testing or doing super secret testing last week, but we're glad to have you here. I don't suppose you can tell us where you were testing or anything that's secret?
No, location is all disclosed and top secret, but we were making that amp Chevy for Dale Jr. go faster, and hopefully can win some races.
Okay.
Get that spoiler figured out, right?
All right. Well, we have a lot of questions already because people are excited to see you on here. But one thing before we get to their questions, I want to ask you, what are you doing now, or what are your plans? What's going on?
I've been going to the racetrack every week. I love being at the racetrack, and so I'm spotting as much as possible. I spot for Michael McDowell on the Cup side. Buddy of mine, Josh Wise, I spot for him in the nationwide races when I'm not driving. I love being involved, but really the big picture behind spotting and staying involved is so I can be in the mix for the next opportunity to drive, and that's where I'm having the opportunity this weekend to drive the GoDaddy.com Chevrolet for Junior Motorsports. So.
You like Dover?
Dover's cool. Yeah. I've raced there a couple times. It's a tough racetrack. You gotta man up to get around that place.
Yeah. Well, let's do the first question from DRL De Boer. She's wondering, how are you feeling about Dover in general, and do you like asphalt or concrete tracks better?
That's actually a really good question, because I prefer asphalt tracks. I feel like they have... I like the inconsistency with the weather and the rubber, and you can run against the fence at some of these places, and you can run on the bottom, and you can run under the apron at some racetracks. Concrete tracks are they're tough. They're just hard racetracks to get around. Bristol, Dover, the way they're built, Dover is very intimidating. But it's fun. I mean, it's a high pressure racetrack. But the concrete it's more consistent, so it kind of sticks with the weather. You got to get some rubber on it before the tires can last, and it's a tough racetrack to get around though.
All right. Well, in addition to Dover, you've run a couple other times, and then Beckbeat 555 is saying you were scheduled to run 4 races with JRM this season. Are there plans to add any more?
I think The plans to add more, I mean, it's just a progression through the season. I think there's a few more spotted in and out this season that they'll be able to announce soon. Hopefully, we'll get that out there in the public and be doing a lot of races. Obviously, Steve Arpin is going to be in the 7-car some this season, and I'm just happy to be part of the team and be representing GoDaddy.com and racing as hard as I can.
Well, another question we have is, have you tested it all in the nationwide COT, and what do you think of the nationwide COT in general?
First question, I haven't tested the nationwide COT, but I will at Daytona next week, so I'm looking forward to that.
That'll be cool.
But I have been in the Cup car quite a bit. A lot of you guys know, with my affiliation with Hendrick Motorsports and being in that family for the last 4 years of my racing career, I've had the opportunity to test for Hendrick for all shapes and sizes of racetracks and all facets of straight line and desert testing and whatever you want. And I've done some pretty cool stuff in that COT car. So hopefully it does translate to the nationwide car, which is a pretty sweet looking ride. I think the nose is pretty cool on it, and it's just a cool car. And I like the concept. You know, NASCAR. People really got to give NASCAR some credit because they know what they're doing. You know, making the car safer and hopefully raceable as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty sweet looking machine.
Sun VGG is on the lines of testing. He wants to know if you ever tested a Sprint Cup car. It sounds like you have. Can you also tell us, like when you go testing, are you learning a lot as well as helping the team learning a lot?
Yeah, absolutely. And really, you can learn as much as you want as a driver. I get kind of hands-on when I'm doing that stuff. I really like to know what's going on, and so I'm really looking at the data acquisition, the computers, because when we go testing, we have thousands of instruments on the race car that can read everything the car's doing, and I like to stay involved in that stuff and learn, and hopefully it helps me somewhere down the road. Hopefully I get an opportunity sometime in the Sprint Cup Series where I can, you know, remember the way some things need to feel or need to look or need to act, or you know, the way a car needs to be.
Okay. Farrah K is wondering, as long as being a tester, you talk about being a spotter. Does being a spotter give you an advantage on the track? Does that help you see things differently?
I really think so. It kind of works both ways. Being a driver gives you an advantage as a spotter. I'm sure you've heard that some of the best spotters are drivers. You know, Tim Feto, David Green's up there on a spotter stand, Stevie Reeves, even TJ Majors has driven some. So, I mean, like, there's a lot of spotters up there that are drivers, and as a driver on the roof, you kind of know what to tell your driver on the racetrack. But also, since I started spotting, it's been an eye-opener for me where I've just, like, I spotted a race, and, like, this year, you know, last week at Darlington, I'm a spotter from McDowell, and, you know, I was walking down from the roof thinking to myself, like, man, I learned some stuff about Darlington. You know,
really?
You really realize, and especially spotting, because watching the race from the roof, you learn a lot, but at some point you're twiddling your thumbs. You know what I mean? At some point you're not paying attention, but when you're spotting, you're always paying attention. And you got your eyes on one car the whole time, and that's how you learn the most. And at Darlington last week, I learned that you don't want to pass off turn 2. Like, you don't want to be side by side off turn 2. Like, you just lose so much time. And this is just one example. You lose so much time being side by side off turn 2. And I saw a lot of people with big momentum, and they'd drive underneath someone in the middle of 1 and 2, and they'd be side by side, and they'd lose 10 car lengths of the car in front of them. And you watch some of the drivers, like Jeff Gordon, you know, he'd go out and he'd have the biggest run on someone going into turn 1, and he wouldn't pass him in the middle of 1 and 2, and it's like, oh man, you had that run. But then he'd get him down the backstretch, and he wouldn't lose time on the car in front of him. So
interesting.
You learn, that's just a small example of something that you learn on the roof while you're spotting, and it makes me want to go back to Darlington. I wish we raced Darlington 2 weeks in a row. It'd be cool. Interesting.
Well, since you do a lot of travel and everything, I assume you hit the airport sometimes. So Tish McGee's wondering, have you ever been mistaken for Justin Bieber? You got kind of the hair thing going, and
well, Tish, occasionally do get mistaken for Justin Bieber, especially on Twitter.
Do you really? Come on.
No.
Oh.
No. I get Twitter messages all the time on my Twitter account at Landon Cassill, and I get a lot of people that are like, sometimes they do the Justin Bieber, like, oh man, Landon, you look like Justin Bieber. And then sometimes they just tag me with a Justin Bieber tweet. Like they'll just retweet Justin, like, I don't know.
That hurts. Does that hurt?
I don't know. I don't know if it hurts. I like his music.
Okay.
I don't know if it's
wow,
bad.
you just admitted that.
Yeah, I know we're live and everything, but I think he's
awkward.
He's good.
Okay.
He's got
all right.
potential.
Well, I'm just going to move on to the next question here, if you don't mind.
Let's
then.
do that.
Okay.
Thank you, Tish, for the question.
RaceFan12 is wondering, and obviously I know the answer to this. This person doesn't, but you can enlighten them. Have you gotten into the whole social media craze with Twitter and Facebook? RaceFan12 wants to know. What have you? Let me ask you this: how has Twitter helped you keep your name out there and keep you in the game? Because he's quite active in Twitter.
A lot, and and it's growing. I've really seen it grow in this season specifically. Before Twitter just started up, like, honestly, I started Twitter the same way I started Facebook. When I got my first Facebook page when I was a sophomore in high school, I got Twitter the same way. I was like, oh, Twitter's a new, everybody says it's a new Facebook, whatever, I got one. Well, then I realized that everybody joining was fans, and I was like, man, this is a real marketing tool. And then obviously, it's a part of our everyday lives at the racetrack and off the racetrack. And now I have on my Twitter, and I don't even have a huge Twitter account. My Twitter has the ability to reach 3,000 people. Mm-hmm. So it's like, it's a huge thing with GoDaddy. It's an internet company.
Right.
They love that. I mean, I love going on Twitter and talking about GoDaddy.com. GoDaddy has a social media team where they're solely handling their Twitter accounts, and you can really do some damage on with the social media stuff.
Yeah.
And there's even if you've seen the way people do their websites nowadays, like, a lot of times it's based around social media. I mean, links going straight to their Facebook. The best information you can get about me right now is on my Facebook fan page, facebook.com/Landon Cassill fans. Like, that's it, and I personally go on there. I was on there the other day and just shot a message out there, and like, it's awesome the way that it's progressing. When we were kids and mom and dad didn't want us on the computer and the internet.
Yeah, right.
I think it's awesome.
Well, it's interesting because, and I wonder about this, but when I tweet about Landon, I get very passionate responses from people. You have a core group of fans that really want to see you on the track and all that stuff. Do you think that's, how much is that from Twitter and how much is that from when you were driving more regularly, do you think, or is that kind of equal, or?
I don't know. I think, first of all, I really appreciate the feedback, and all of my followers out there. I read pretty much everything that you guys put up, good and bad. And sometimes I click on, there's some of the people that follow me and respond that, like, they have some pretty animated and pretty interesting stuff to say. So I'll click on their timelines and I'll read through their timelines and see who they reply to and everything, and it's kind of cool. So you guys, you're definitely getting your information and getting your opinions out there, and I think, it's, I don't know, Twitter's it's something that it's just blown up, and it's pretty sweet.
Well,
I didn't even answer your question.
No, that's cool. Whatever. We don't have to answer these questions. No.
What was the question?
I don't know. I lost it already.
I started
I'm gone.
talking.
Yeah.
Did you go? Yeah.
But we have other questions, plenty of other questions, and we're almost halfway through. So you remember, keep your questions coming, because we have lots more to ask Landon here. So, but there's plenty here we can choose from. And J. Palm Jr. is wondering, we talked about Twitter. It gives you insight into your personality and stuff, but he wants to know something that we would be surprised to know about you.
I'm like kind of a homebody kid. A lot of people, I don't know, I'm just kind of a friendly.
You do live with your grandma. I don't know if I.
Yeah, actually I'm moving out and stuff. So it's
you are? Oh, okay. Breaking news?
Breaking news.
Grandma. See ya.
No, it's all good. But no, I'm kind of a homebody. I just like to chill. I don't know if that's something you'd surprised. Actually, no, I'm a music nut. That's something that people
Yeah.
might be surprised, or might be surprised at the music I listen to. I just listen to all kinds of hip hop.
Chitty Bang.
Chitty Bang.
It's like some group that they know you or something?
I think I know them.
Oh, okay.
No. Some friends of mine are from Philadelphia, and they're in a hip hop group called Chitty Bang. So.
And they're high on iTunes. Like, I actually downloaded
like,
one of their songs.
They're like in the top 10 in the UK right now in hip hop charts. And
that's good people to know.
Yeah. And their video is like is one of the top videos on iTunes right now.
Really?
So look them up. Real Chitty is the Twitter. Zafoon Jones is the producer, and Chitty Bang is on iTunes. It's pretty cool.
All right.
So,
speaking of celebrities, people you know and all this stuff.
I know.
Yeah. D-Ham's biggest fan is wondering who's your favorite GoDaddy girl.
Oh. I like Danica.
Yeah, Danica.
Danica's cool. She's and because I know her the best. She's pretty cool. She's real. I mean,
yeah.
She's really neat, and she's a neat person. She does a lot of, like, I don't know. She's really cool.
Well, I thought you'd say that, so that leads to the next question here, which is, how have you helped Danica get used to driving stock cars? A lot of us heard on the broadcast, and if we were at the track, we heard you on the scanner, like chiming in and being like, "Hey, Danica, it's Landon. Well, just want to let you know, do a good job today," and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What'd you do to help her?
Just kind of, she was getting a lot of help from a lot of different directions, and being a rookie in NASCAR is tough. It doesn't matter where you come from. She's just at Vegas, and I was kind of there and offered my help to Tony Jr., and they're like, yeah, you could use another a word from a rookie, from one rookie to the next. And so I just kind of helped her out with some of the stuff that she needs to know, buzz your tires on the backstretch before you take the green, clean them off, stuff like that, and just stuff during practice to help her get up to speed and things like that. And and it just kind of worked to where we built a little bit of a relationship, and we kind of keep in touch and and get her ready for her next race.
All right. Well, since she was kind of using you as a mentor in some ways, Jellybean88 is wanting to know, what drivers in the sport do you consider to be your mentors? Who helps you? Who do you look up to?
Really, I mean, you definitely have the Hendrick drivers, Jeff and Jimmy and Mark definitely, and Dale as well. I've looked up to for years. But as far as on a regular basis at the racetrack, you talk to different drivers and lean on Cup drivers and stuff like that. And I like to lean on Kyle Busch. It sounds funny, but really because he's so approachable.
Kyle Busch is approachable for you?
For me, yeah. I know he's not approachable for you.
Got the magic touch, yeah.
Well, the best part is I can get him when he's in a good mood. If he's in a bad mood, I don't have to see him.
Right.
So you got to chase him even if he's in a bad mood.
I do.
But no, Kyle for me has been approachable and has kind of had open arms as far as advice. He was there for me at Texas when I'd never run there, and I was like, "Hey man," and he's like, "Come on over to the bus and let's talk." So, he's been a good friend, stuff like that, and a lot of those guys are pretty helpful.
That's cool. Another question here is where did Junior first discover you? I think maybe Hendrick discovered you actually. Can you tell people who aren't really familiar with your background how you initially got on the radar, how you kind of came up a little bit?
Yeah, I ran late models. I'm from Cedar Rapids, Iowa, so I'm just a Midwestern kid, racing late models all over the place, and had a lot of success at that level, and it kind of propelled me to onto the radar screen of Hendrick Motorsports and Chevrolet, and that's when I got the opportunity to do a test for Chevy. With Joey Logano was at this test at the time when he was with Gibbs, and we went to 3 different racetracks, and there were 16 different drivers, and Joey went with Gibbs, and I had got an offer from Hendrick Motorsports following this test, and it was a really neat.
So you must have done pretty well.
Yeah, it was just a cool deal. Like I got to drive at the time a Busch Series car for the first time at Nashville Super Speedway, and it was just bizarre. I was like 16 or 17 years old, and it was just pretty cool. So that's how I kind of got into the NASCAR scene, and I'd been with Hendrick ever since, doing a lot of testing, and it's funny. A lot of testing and a little bit of racing. You know, I've probably run less than 30 nationwide races in my career, but I've done so much cup testing for Hendrick and R&D testing, and really I've had an opportunity to see the behind the scenes and all that stuff. So that's a pretty cool short story of where I came from.
Well, one of the other things you've gotten to do for Hendrick, and Dances with Cat is asking this. She says, awesome TRex Burnout at Goodwood. What was it like participating at the event? You actually, the famous TRex car that Jeff Gordon once drove, you actually took that to England. Can you tell people about that, what that was all about?
Yeah, it was, that was a cool deal, especially if you know TRex, because I remember watching that car on TV when I was a kid. So I think I was 8 years old, and first of all, it was cool because it was a bright red. It was different paint scheme than what he ran, and had T-Rex on it, and Jurassic Park. You know, so it was when the movie came out, and I remember he just kicked their butt at Charlotte, and the car never came back. And I've been a race fan my whole life. I knew the story. I mean, that's the thing, is like I knew the story, and I got the phone call. It was like, hey, Landon, we need you to go to England. Would you like to drive this car? And I'm like, well, what am I driving? It's T-Rex, like the T-Rex, like the car, and you know, and just going into the shop and fitting in that car. And just is crazy, you know, fitting in the car, sitting everything, you know, it was the same stuff that Jeff had run, you know, like it was,
that's cool.
Kind of, I was fitting, you know, same, just everything was the same, and I'm like, you know, sitting in this stuff, the last person to strap into it was Jeff Gordon, and it's only been raced once, and so we went to England and did this really cool event, the Goodwood Festival of Speed, and got to meet some great people. Just if you haven't heard of it, you gotta search the Goodwood Festival of Speed and check it out. And did a cool burnout. I think the burnout's on YouTube somewhere.
Oh, really?
And,
I gotta check that out.
Yeah, did a cool burnout. And the coolest part about the whole thing was when I was doing the burnout, I had this wild hair up my butt to pull the steering wheel off. So I was doing this burnout, and I popped the steering wheel off and stuck it out the window. And it was neat because in England or I guess in Europe in general, that type of racing, Formula One, they don't really get to see how drivers celebrate like we do. You know?
Okay.
And I was kind of like, they want to see how a NASCAR event celebrates a victory. So I stuck the steering wheel out the window, like that means anything or whatever. Maybe that's my new signature or something.
Everybody needs one.
Yeah, and so I had the steering wheel out the window, and they actually gave me at the end of the event. Everybody, just the fans went crazy. There was 150,000 people there, and I was awarded the driver of the event. And it was a pretty neat deal. And then they gave me the steering wheel. So I have the steering wheel out of T-Rex.
Where do you have it?
I'm not telling.
Oh, okay.
It's a secret. I can't have it.
There's so many secrets.
Yeah, I know.
All right.
It's in my house.
Well, I knew that. I was just wondering where you had it. No, not
You know where I live, though.
All right.
I don't want you to come steal it.
All right, I won't steal it. Let's see. What is the craziest thing? That would be crazy if I stole. What's the craziest thing you've seen a NASCAR fan do? Jelly Bean 88 would like to know.
Oh, you guys should have given me more time on this one. I could
have thought some good ones.
I could have thought some good ones. I've seen some. You know, every weekend is pretty cool. I've seen some really good mullets and just know, nice hairy backs and stuff like that. Like some, you know, the 3 in the back and shaved into the back.
Yeah, I've seen pictures though. I don't think I've seen a 3 in the back in person. Yeah. Maybe that's kind of like the bucket list thing for racing.
Usually on the spotter stand, you get to see like the best mullets and the best.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Well, you know, since Junior Nation's out here, and you say you've tested to help the 88 get a little bit better.
Actually, last week, I don't want to interrupt you.
Yes.
Last week on the spotter stand, this guy, like, totally just walked right up to the roof, walked right up the stairs, had his backpack, and was kind of like nodding at a couple people, like had no credentials or anything, and plopped his bag right next to Roger Penske and pulled out a beer and put it in a koozie. And
no kidding.
Yeah.
Just some random fan just wandered up.
He just knew where to go, and he went up to the spotter stand, and he was standing next to Roger Penske. And
how long did he get to stay up there?
He wasn't there when I left. So.
Yeah. Well, anyway, like I was going to say, you had mentioned before testing to help the 88 and stuff like that. So is there anything that you can tell Junior Nation that's going to give him some optimism? Because they've had it rough now and then. I mean, he's in the top 12 right now, but it hasn't always been easy. Is there good things coming, do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I've I tested with Dale at Rockingham in February, and we made some progress on some stuff. So we just got to keep digging, keep plugging away.
Okay. Grace Allison is wondering. This is kind of an interesting question. Hi, Landon. What driver would you love to race against that you haven't yet?
Ooh. Really, that's a good question. Really, the answer to that question is broad because it's kind of like any of the Cup drivers in the field.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I want to race against Jeff Gordon and Dale Jr. and Jimmy Johnson and Mark Martin, and I have had the opportunity to race against Jimmy and Dale, and it's funny because I've raced against Tony Stewart and really, you know, Tony's big time, but didn't think anything of it because I've raced against him a handful of times and Kyle, but Jeff, Jimmy, Mark, and Dale have been my teammates, so when I'm not in the car, they are in the car as far as a nationwide car back like in 2007, 2008.
Right.
Or, you know, when I'm in it, they're not in it. But I did get the opportunity to race against Dale and Jimmy at Watkins Glen in 2008. So that feeling was kind of like, oh man, I think I was close. I was like 3 cars away from Jimmy Johnson at one point, and I was like, I might get to pass him. You know? So it's I think someday if I got to race against Jeff Gordon, you know, that would be pretty sweet.
So what was, I mean, I assume you wouldn't get like starstruck in the car, but I mean, you're definitely conscious of like, that's Jeff Gordon, I'm Landon Cassill, I could pass him. I mean, you're thinking about that during the race, or, you know, you would be?
Yeah, I mean, it's, I guess, you know, starstruck, you don't want to be starstruck, you know, you got to be able to do your job. But I remember the first time I pulled on a track in a nationwide race, and it was like Matt Kenseth went by me, and you know, so casually, my crew chief was like, "Hey, that's Kenseth, follow him." And it's like, if I can, you know.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
It's cool to be behind a champion like that and to follow him, and I think someday, you know, it won't be starstruck, but you just know they're good.
Yeah. Let's see. Looking at some of the other questions we have here. What are you? You're 20 right now? Did you just turn 20 not too long ago? Is that right?
I turned 21 July 7th.
Oh, July 7th. Okay, so this fits then. Kanaba 41589. I don't know why all the numbers. I can almost not.
415.
Why so many numbers, Kanaba? Anyway.
Thank you for your question, Kanaba.
Thank you for your question. Any plan for your 21st birthday? Kanaba wants to know.
Man, I don't know. If someone's gonna.
You haven't already started thinking about that in your head?
We've thought about it, some like maybe Las Vegas or something like that, but
it's tough to go wrong with Vegas.
Yeah, it's tough to go wrong with Vegas, but I think we'll be in Daytona that week. July 7th. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know what I'm gonna do for my birthday.
Well, you might. I mean, some people go really big for. 21 is big.
Yeah, I'm a big partier though.
I know, but you know.
I'm not a big drinker. I don't want to go out and have too many amps and just be so amped up. And
right. Good plug. Good plug. It's gonna score some points.
I think that was one of those subtle marketing ploys there.
Subtle?
Subtle, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Very subtle. Anyway, let's go. Oh, D Ham's biggest fan is getting personal here. Do you see this question? Boxers or briefs? From D Ham's biggest fan.
Briefs, definitely. What did Matt Deason ask?
Matt Deason. You know Matt Deason?
Yeah, I know Matt Deason.
Okay, Matt Deason wants to know.
Actually, and this is a cool example of the power of Twitter.
Yeah.
Because Matt Deason is a diehard race fan, and he's a cool kid, and just kind of got to know him on Twitter a little bit, and then from seeing him at the races, and like I got him passes to Dover, like he'll be at Dover and stuff. So
cool.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. You know,
yeah.
He's a neat kid, but
well, he wants to know who your favorite spotter is.
My favorite spotter is definitely Jeff Dickerson.
Yeah.
So he's my agent, so I'm not. But
Jeff, are you kissing up right now?
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Well, Jeff Dickerson is my agent. You know, he needs give me a ride. Best spotter in the world. No, really, he's probably my favorite spotter. I like his. If you ever listen to Kyle Busch and Jeff Dickerson,
that's pretty entertaining.
They're pretty entertaining. Jeff's lingo and the way he flows is pretty good.
Is that what you try to model your spotting after at all?
I've listened to Jeff a lot, and I've had him spot for me before, so I probably pick that up, and I guess I would want to model after that. But my other favorite spotter, other than Jeff, I guess equally Jeff, these two are my favorite spotters. Joey Meyer, we call him Joey the Pilot. He's
Yeah, I follow him on Twitter.
Yeah, he's Keselowski's spotter and pilot, and Joey is a great spotter.
Really?
Like, he's got his stuff together, and I really admire his organization. Like, a lot of people I think should probably try to understand more of the spotter world and the relationship between a spotter and a driver, because it's so important. And I appreciate one of the reasons I like Joey so much is just because I appreciate how organized and how serious he takes it, because he's got his own equipment, he programs his own radios, he does everything is his own. He can go from one team to the next without having to go to the hauler, without having to charge stuff. Like, he's got his stuff together. He's got fan views and things to look at, lap timing. Like, he's ready to give the driver information. And there's a lot of spotters out there that are organized, but he's got them blown away. So Joey Meyer is a great spotter.
Okay. 8 Flagler 8 is wondering what you would be doing if you're not working racing, which you probably been probably some times over the past couple of years you probably had to ask yourself that.
But I don't know. I'd probably be in the car business. I grew up in the used car business, and I think I'd love to sell some cars or something.
Could you sell cars? You have it in you?
Sell cars? Yeah, I think I could do that.
What would be like your pitch? How would you get me in a car?
Oh man, I don't know. That's not a very good sales pitch, is it?
No. Just be like, buy this car. I'm Landon Cassill.
No, I think I'd just be an honest and be a low pressure.
Pressure guy.
Motors is our dealership back home, and we're a nice, honest, low pressure used car dealership.
Okay.
Just like the rest of them.
Okay.
And we're just not going to rush you into a vehicle that you can't afford. We're going to get you the right one.
All right. Well, that's a good start.
Yeah.
Only a couple more questions. Our time's almost up, if you can believe that. I know.
We can go
crazy,
for a
right?
half hour, can't we?
I don't know. What is your favorite track? Jennifer Raines is wondering. I know you haven't raced on all of them, but
well, Jennifer, my favorite track. Dover coming up is a cool place to drive. Like, it's just a neat place to drive and be a part of. I had fun at Texas. I don't know. It was like every track. The track I just raced at was my. It's like any track I go to is. I just love them all, and I haven't had a full schedule yet. But Dover's a pretty cool track as far as just as far as a place that I'm proud to say that I've raced there. Every little track has something that I like about it. I've raced at Chicago, which appears to be just a cookie cutter racetrack, but I think it's a pretty neat place. You can run any lane you want to with old tires at the end of a run. So, that's a cool place in its own respect. It has plenty of reasons why I love it. But Dover's a place where it's like, man, I raced at Dover. Made it through a race at Dover. And Daytona's kind of the same way. It's like, Daytona's cool,
All right. So. That's cool. All right. We touched on kind of the music thing that you love. Jay Backer is wanting to know, what are your hobbies when you're not racing? I mean, like, let's say, you're just away from the track, you got a day at home. What do you do?
I've been, this has to do with racing, but I've been getting into iRacing a lot lately.
Really? I hear a lot of people talk about that. I'm not on it.
I've been getting into iRacing a lot lately, and it's pretty cool. Like, you get to race against real people. Like, you have to race against real people. There's no computer cars. Like, you race online and you make new friends, and that's pretty fun. I have some RC cars that I tinker with. And but my favorite thing to do is just put my shorts and flip-flops on and lay in my hammock and light the fire in my backyard and cook hot dogs or something.
Cool.
I like to chill and relax at home.
All right. Caspian 10 wants to know, you have any good nicknames? I've never heard a nickname for you. You have one?
Man. My mom calls me Lanny.
Lanny? Oh, gosh.
Lanny.
They are going to use this against you. You realize that?
That's fine.
People in the Twitter world and stuff.
Well, it's funny.
That's blackmail.
At Hendrick, in the R&D department, they called me Junior before Junior came along.
Oh, okay.
But then he came, and he already had that name.
Yeah, you can't really take that one, yeah.
So then it was like, he confused me with Junior, So.
Right.
But they really did call me Junior. And then there's a couple guys on there that still call me Junior every once in a while. So
that must be confusing.
My uncle has a nickname for me. I just got to plug that in case he's watching, but I can't say it.
You can't say it? Another secret.
I can't say it.
There's so many secrets.
It's worse than Lanny.
Wow. Okay, maybe you don't want to share
Lanny, Lando. I get called Lando.
that. Lando.
Lando.
Okay.
I guess you just drop the N.
Yeah.
And you got Lando.
Guess what? Kanaba's back with all the numbers.
Kanaba.
41589.
Kanaba, let us know what your name comes from, please.
Kanaba is wondering, what's the last concert you went to?
Okay, I saw Chitty Bang in January at Davidson College with Mike Posner, so that was good. If you ever heard of Mike Posner, he's a pretty good artist.
Nope. What is he? Same kind of music?
Yeah, just kind of a cross between Justin Timberlake and 303. If you ever heard of those two.
And Justin Bieber?
And no, not very much Justin
Okay,
Bieber.
all right.
That was my last concert. Before that, I took my sister Warped Tour though.
Oh, that's cool.
Summer, so that was cool.
That's cool.
I was pretty excited.
So
about
you don't have a lot of time for concerts, just listening to music, basically.
I try to hit Warped Tour every year, and usually I'll get a concert that I really want to see. Just depends. You know, sometimes I'll go a spurt where I'll go to like shows a couple times a month or something like that, and then I won't go to one. But I definitely go to Warped Tour every year.
Okay. By the way, do you have a favorite amp flavor? I've been trying to ask everybody every week. Is that it?
Yeah, I requested the green one.
Another plug.
Yeah.
You hold it up like
Green
a pro.
Amber. Check it out.
Somebody really should, put you in a car full
Kind of
time or something.
gotta
If
get a
this
drink
this
for
kind of marketing skills.
It's cold. Can I drink this?
Yeah,
Is
no,
it okay?
that's what
Is
it's
it-
there for. Yeah.
Oh, do you want one?
No, I'll have it later.
Look at this amp.
Let me ask you this: your most memorable GC Badigan. Oh, I probably butchered that name. I'm sorry. Sorry, GC. What has been your most memorable experience while working at JRM?
Most memorable experience while working at JRM. Well, okay, so I go in the shop every morning, and there's a lot of every day is a memorable experience because that place is pretty laid back and pretty fun.
Okay.
And but I go to the shop every morning, and I like to just tinker around and try to find stuff that needs to be done that like maybe the guys are too busy doing. And a couple weeks ago, I started on this project where I was like, the back wall behind the building where the pit stop stuff, like everything was kind of, it was getting unkept, and some of it, it was the pollen was like kind of just settling down on everything. So I took a bunch of stuff and sandblasted it and repainted it all and like freshened everything up, and it was funny because I was all dirty and like cleaning stuff, and the guys were all like, hey Landon, we got some more stuff for you to clean.
So you're like the maid now?
Yeah,
You're like
the
the
maid.
junior martial arts
Yeah,
maid.
so then I was
Congratulations.
Maybe next week I'll clean the bathrooms or something.
That's cool. Yeah, sweep the floors.
Yep, sweep the floors. But I actually every Monday I try to help the guys tear the cars down, and that's fun.
Really?
Yeah, Ace and Steven are the two guys that tear the cars down and wash them. And Ace is a really cool guy. He's a good friend of mine, and so I enjoy putting the rubber gloves and the goggles on with him and pressure washing.
Do you have to go to the shop, or you just want to?
I don't say you don't have to, but like it's good for drivers to go to the race shop. So,
Yeah.
And I like I'm kind of a hands-on, just tinker with stuff, and I at least to go there and bug the guys and see what they're doing.
Do they ever be like, Landon, you're in our way. We're trying to build race cars. Or you stay out of the way?
Sometimes,
oh, okay.
yeah, sometimes
okay.
I'm in the way.
Hughes CLT is wondering, who do you consider to be your closest friends within the racing community?
Oh, Brad Coleman's a good friend of mine. Jeff and I have been pretty good friends in the racing community here.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's. I'm friends with Jeff, so he doesn't write anything bad about me.
Thanks. Thank you.
Brad Coleman is probably one of my closest friends. Joey Denowitz is a good friend of mine. He works for Braun Racing. There's just a lot of good people in NASCAR. It's hard to list everybody that's ever been a friend to you. I mean, there's a lot of guys up on the spotter stand that are good people, and it's kind of a big family, and it's a neat thing to be a part of. Everybody's there's a lot of people that'll really look out for you, and you always got to look out for yourself. But there's a lot of people that are just good buddies and good to hang around.
Okay. Well, as you can see, we're already over our time limit, and the AMP people have told me that we can go even a couple more questions because you're doing so well on this chat.
Really?
Seriously. So that's the word. So a couple more questions. This question is from Foxy
I think it's
Coxy.
because
Yeah.
Let's do a quick AMP commercial break.
Okay. There you go. That's probably why he got the extra time,
Yep.
I would say. Yep.
Extra minutes.
Anyway, Foxy Coxy is wondering, do you have any pets?
Yes. I have a dog named Indy.
Hmm.
And she is a 6-month-old Yorkie.
I've seen pictures on Twitter.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. I'll post her up on my Twitter every once in a while. She's funny. I got a lot of good Indy stories. So yeah, she's 6 months old. She's a Yorkie. She weighs about 3 pounds. She's like this big.
That's cool.
And she's hilarious. My grandma has a miniature Schnauzer. It's a male, and he's like this big, and he hikes his leg real high when he goes potty. So Indy goes outside, and she feels like she needs to hike her leg. So I've got a little 3-pound Yorkie that hikes her leg when she goes potty. So that's kind of funny. But she's
I wish maybe that you had kept that one a secret. Since you're keeping secrets.
I find a lot of humor in that.
Okay, I think that one, Lanny, Justin Bieber, all could have been stuff you didn't tell, but you could have just told us where your trophies are, where your steering wheel is. But no.
Is there any? Hang on.
Okay, sorry. Time out.
Wardrobe malfunction here.
Well, we only have time for one more question anyway. And Dances with Cat is wondering.
That's 2 questions for her.
She Dances with Cat is on here every week. She's
Really?
always asking questions. Yeah, she has a lot of
Thank
good
you
questions.
for participating this week, Dances with Cat.
Yes.
For next week, what kind of cat do you dance with?
Yeah, tell us next week, please. That would be
your
good.
cat's name.
Yeah. Anyway, racing. Under the sun or under the lights?
Under the lights.
Why?
Because it's cooler.
Because it's cooler.
Yep.
Okay. Well, we'll maybe get more expansive answers next week when Rick Hendrick is here in this chair. Thank you. Come back May
Was that a
19th,
handshake?
12:30. Actually, I was just pointing to him.
I
He
thought it
shook
was
my
a
hand.
handshake.
Yeah. No.
I don't know. Yeah, okay.
No, he just shook
Thanks
it.
a lot.
Yeah, kind of awkward. Anyway, he'll be back. AmpUpThe88.com is where Junior Nation comes to amp up before the race each week. Thank you for joining us. Real handshake. All right, we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks
a
a lot,
for joining.
everybody.